you're both a fan of The Dark Crystal and of Star Wars, you may have noticed the similarities between the stories and the characters involved. The Crystal of Truth seems to have a mind of its own and mystical powers that serve to both destroy as well as restore, sort of similar to the Kyber crystals in the Star Wars universe. Both of these worlds share ideas about the connection between all things.
My master, wisest of the mystics.
Where is he? Around here?
He's dead.
Could be anywhere then.
Some fans have even gone as far as suggesting that Yoda is a Gelfling, or one of Kira and Jin's descendants, or even Jin himself. The great puppeteers Jim Henson and Frank Oz created this story, which was produced by Gary Kurtz. The Dark Crystal was released in December of 1982, 5 months prior to the release of The Return of the Jedi.
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
The story itself echoes the main themes of Star Wars: the hero's journey, finding oneself, finding love and family, and saving the villain instead of destroying them. Since the film's initial release, there have been several books as well as comics written about the planet of Thra that have expanded upon the meanings and messages in the original movie. With the announcement of a new Netflix show based in the Dark Crystal universe, I find it necessary to delve into this world as we know it and how it resembles one of the greatest myths of the modern day. Jin, who believes he is the last Gelfling, goes on an adventure to bring peace to the land of Thra. Along the way, he meets another Gelfling, who also thought she was the last of her kind. When the two touch hands, they share memories. This intimate moment binds them together, and over the course of their journey, they fall in love. They work together to reunite the shard with the crystal, and their actions bring balance back to Thra by rejoining the Skeksis. Thousands of years prior to the events of the film, 18 Skeksis transported themselves to the planet Thra during the First Great Conjunction. Unlike the rest of their race, they had darkness inside of them, as well as light. Exiled from their homeworld because of this neutral nature, the 18 Skeksis were seen as impure and dedicated their lives to finding a new way to be and to become masters of their own darkness. On Thra, they became obsessed with the number 3, believing that the third path must be the way. When they discovered the Crystal of Truth on Thra, they sought to use the Second Great Conjunction of the 3 planets, along with the light and the power from the crystal, to return home. However, when they attempted this, one of the Skeksis allowed his anger, fear, loneliness, and pride to overcome him. His darkness corrupted the process, and the Second Great Conjunction was over. Each Skeksis became 2 beings, one a Skeksis and the other an UrRu. The Skeksis were scientists, clever, eccentric, and savvy, but over time their power faded and they became greedy. They used the powers of the crystal to drain and consume the life sources of other creatures. The UrRu, on the other hand, left the castle and turned to nature. They took up residence in a place that reminded them of their home planet. They practiced music, art, and healing, but every UrRu and every Skeksis were linked, and whatever fate one would suffer, their opposite would as well. When Jin reconnects the shard to the crystal in the film, the crystal's light and power return and reunite the Skeksis race. The remaining 8 Skeksis go back to their home planet, apparently having learned what they needed to become balanced. So what did they learn? The Skeksis were trying to find the third path, but one of them allowed the darkness to consume them. In Star Wars, following the events of The Return of the Jedi, while Luke had begun his search for the temple, he came across a Jedi holocron. When he unlocked it, many past Jedi appeared and revealed a small piece of information regarding the origins of the Jedi and the Sith. Once we were brothers in the Force, but from the 100-year darkness were born the Sith. From this, we can infer that there were once only the Jedi, and the Sith formed from the Jedi, creating 2 factions that have been at war with one another for thousands of years. The Skeksis had essentially lived as their worst selves and as their best selves for 1,000 years. They had to suffer without darkness and without light. They likely learned the third way once they were reunited. But this third way was not what they had once assumed it was. It wasn't a path revealed by science or meditation. Instead, it was revealed by experience. The similarities between Jin and Kira and Ben and Rey, are interesting. When Ben and Rey touch hands, they share visions of the past and future. They are the last of their kind, Ben and Rey are the last Force users that know the path of the Jedi. They are essentially the last of the Jedi. These stories are both about finding balance in order to keep two sides from warring and destroying the universe around them. But the message is far deeper and more meaningful. When we are young, we are attempting to figure out who we are. Through our trials, inner struggles, and trauma, we add a little bit of light and a little bit of dark to ourselves over time. But ultimately, we choose who we want to be, and whether to act as our best or worst selves. Finding balance is not about embracing both of these things inside of you. It is not about combining them or making them equal. It is about understanding the light and the dark inside of yourself, becoming at peace with it, and moving on. It's about growing up. These two worlds are telling us the same story. These connections do not have to be intentional, although it would be neat if a new planet named Thra all of a sudden popped into the Star Wars universe. If anything, the two worlds are compatible. The story parallels the love the directors share for one another's works, and the deeper meanings that they have in common are enough to suggest that they have greatly influenced one another. Knowing the Dark Crystal's world and themes could help us better understand the lore that has not yet been explained in Star Wars. Beyond that, it's simply an excellent and fascinating story. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. I'm really excited about the new Netflix series on the Dark Crystal. I think it's going to be really awesome, so definitely keep a lookout for that. With that being said, thank you again for watching, and cheers!